Oh my god.
Enter the realm of KSBM Radio's creation. Student led from inception to narration. Crafting content from dawn until dusk. All students involved in the work and the fuss. In the heart of town view where voices reside. Student led discussions where ideas collide. From interviews with leaders, peers, and businesses. Just watch us work creating innovative content. Every aspect managed with student finesse. From podcast production to social media press. No task too daunting, no challenge too grand. KSBM Radio, we taking a stand. KSBM Radio, students leading the way. Every task idea, we seize the day. Witness now as all of our efforts break through. KSBM Radio, the voice of Town View.
Come closer to the music.
Broadcasting live from Marvin E. Robinson School of Business and Management, Dallas, Texas.
My radio station.
We are KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
Welcome back to KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview. I'm your host, Jane, joined by my co-hosts,
Santi, Lulu,
and Glossy.
and today we'll be interviewing Mr. Tunji Adebayo. Mr. Adebayo is the founder and vision alignment officer of Rhyme LLC, a holistic health company based in Atlanta. He's a former science teacher, a certified personal trainer, and a national speaker with passion for wellness, education, and empowering communities. He holds degrees in dietetics and education and has spent over a decade blending health, fitness, and teaching to inspire change. Mr. Adebayo, welcome to Townview. Is there anything you'd like to share with us before we get started?
No, this is a beautiful school, and I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
we're happy to have you too. So, just to get started off, obviously, you want to talk about your past and just learn about how the story and how you got to this position in the first place. So, we wanted to ask, where did you grow up and what did it look like and what happened down there?
Okay, so I was born in Lagos, Nigeria. That's my home. And I moved with my family to outside Atlanta, Georgia in 1995 when I was 5 years old. What's important to know is I'm the youngest of 9 children, and I have 7 older sisters.
Oh my God.
So it's boy, 7 girls, and me. So I'm the baby. And I think I consider myself the most blessed man alive because all of my sisters were just cold. They were great human beings, not just academically, but by the time I got to high school, it was, you're an Adebayo. We know how this is gonna play out. You're not only gonna be a good person, you're gonna do well academically, but we expect you to treat people well. And it's a strange thing when you walk into a situation where high school, in some places, it can be a nasty place, it can be a selfish place, but when people look at you and they see the best version of an older sibling, you get treated a certain way by staff, by peers. So I walked into an expectation to thrive, so that's what I did. Not that I was oh so amazing, but for example, 9th grade year, my sisters were my ride home. Mm-hmm. So my sisters worked and volunteered at an after-school program that was across the street. But because they were my ride home, I volunteered at the after-school program. They were like, oh, you volunteering at the after-school program? You're such a great human being. I'm like, yeah, I guess. But this is my ride home. So even after they left the high school, I was still doing those things, but it was really just walking in their footsteps. I'd already done it for 2 years. I'd already done it for 3 years. Why not keep doing it? And that's really my life story of me falling in line behind human beings that did what they were supposed to. If I was the oldest, I don't know how our family would have played out. But because I was the youngest, I just did. So I'm really blessed to have older siblings, people that came before me to handle business. So whenever I speak now, I'm big on who here has a younger sibling and asking them to understand that they're copying you even if they pretend like they don't. Even if they seem like, you're dumb, I don't care what you do. Like, I'm different, I'm so unique. Nah. You still set the standard for how they're gonna operate, what they believe is possible. Especially as an older sibling, you're willing to show your struggles as well. So by the time I got to school, it was just an understanding of, I may be unique, but I can figure out a way to make it happen. because everybody before me had made it happen. Everybody had graduated. So it never was a question in my mind, could I succeed? It was just, how am I going to go about doing it?
That's beautiful. But you already touched on it a little bit, but we wanted to ask, do you have a specific classroom moment, like something that happened in that classroom where it pushed you towards what you do now and like a passion that you have already?
If I'm be absolutely honest, no. In high school, I was a finesser. I was just like, let's get by. Whatever the standard was, I'm like, let me just meet it. Because I couldn't go home with a C. So when I tell the story, I never got a C in high school, it's because I couldn't go home with the C. It's not allowed. I may get sent back to Nigeria. I'm like, let's relax. So for me, it was always, let me find a way to make it happen. So when I think about it, honestly, it wasn't until I was getting my master's where I actually valued education, like what I was learning. Then I realized, I'm going to have to apply this. So I really look at Townview as a beautiful place of you're learning things that you will apply. You're applying in real time. Where school for me was just a game of how do I get this B? Like that's all that mattered. How do I get out of here with at least a B? It was never challenging myself and growing. But what I did learn is how to work with people. Like I saw my teachers as human beings, I think, before other people did. So I was the one that was always talking too much. And I learned very early, even though everyone is talking, I have a unique voice. So a teacher would be like, Tunji, stop talking. And I'm like, everybody is talking. Why are you calling me out? And I feel extremely blessed because I think it was 7th grade. Was it Miss Okraska? Either way, shout out Miss Okraska. She said, somebody said that, fair enough, everybody is talking. But Tunji, you have one of those voices where when everyone is talking, I hear you over everyone else. And I was like, thank you. It just made sense. Like, I have a reason for it now. So whenever a teacher later on would be like, Tunji, stop talking. Yes, ma'am. But the benefit was when it was the end of semester and I had like a 79.2 or whatever it was, and I'm like, I can't go home with this 79.2, I wouldn't ask, could I redo something? I would redo like 3, 4, 5 things that I believe would get me up to an 80. And keep in mind, the whole semester, a lot of yes ma'ams when I could have been like, but they talking too, yes ma'am. Then at the end of the semester, when I had that 79, I'm like, miss, I just have a standard in my family. I can't go home with a C, and I did these assignments. I don't know if you're willing to grade them, but I'm willing to do more. Please, just let me know what it's required. Because I don't know if I earned a B, but I plan on earning a B. So these assignments, if you're willing to grade them, please do, and let me know if there's anything else I can do. Thank you so much. And then I leave. Never got a C. I never necessarily earned a C if it would have played out, but I learned that you can talk to people, you can negotiate. Like, people are human beings. Like, they're understanding, especially if you moved a certain way all semester. And I carry that into life now where, well, some people may call it charisma or charm. I just call it interpersonal intelligence, being able to work with a human being. So what I learned in high school wasn't in any classroom moment that was like knowledge. No, it was more people and how to engage with them.
Wow, that's amazing. So with your educational values, what have you passed down to your students yourself?
I think the most powerful thing was, how do I give them the same thing that was given to me? And it was just a standard. The expectation, if the standard was just pass, I was the type of human being that I would have just passed. But the standard was an A or a B is all that you can get. So I walked into that classroom, I was 22, 23, and I was scared. I was not scared of like violence, but the expectation. I knew what a powerful teacher could do in someone's life. If I really thrived in this job and I was struggling, and I knew that I succeeded because people looked at me my entire life and was like, okay, you don't get to fail, right? You're my brother. You don't get to, like, if somebody's your family member, you don't get to just give up on them. I'm always gonna be connected to you. So when I stepped into that classroom, I told students, you're my family, right? So whether you wanna contact me 10 years from now when it's still this relationship, that'll be up to you because you'll have the freedom to, but I'll always see you as family. So then I had to create a classroom dynamic that my family operated in. So I had to set up my classroom in a way where my students would expect to get an A or a B. But what does that actually look like practically? So what I did is I had unlimited retakes in my classroom on homeworks, on classworks, on quiz, on tests, everything. Where it wouldn't be about who could learn it first. It was about who was willing to retake it. Who was willing to retake it again and again and again. And I told them, you will learn in here what it's like to, when you have the opportunity to become, do you choose to become? And I loved it because I told them, students like me, where you can just half listen and learn. And then you're gonna pass the test. You're gonna at least get a B. You're gonna, like, there's a lot of us here, like just, all I gotta do is exist in the classroom and I'm gonna be okay. If I wanna thrive is a different story. I told them, you're not gonna get the highest grade in this class. It'll be somebody who probably starts off with a 50. And one of my favorite stories to tell is the story of Vicente. One of my students, like, English was his second language, and he would struggle. First classwork assignment, he'd get a 50, but he'd take it again, get a 70-something, take it again, get a 79, take it again, get a 85, take it again, get a 93. And where I would have stopped, I would probably stopped at the 80-something. He'd keep going until he got 100 on everything. Vicente ended up getting 100 and something in my class with the extra credit. And I like brag on him all the time, just that mentality that when you give people an opportunity and different pathways to thrive, they will. So I think that's the most powerful thing that I pulled from my life into my classroom. How do I set up a dynamic where I expect you to succeed? And I would tell them and look them in the eye, if you don't walk out of here with at least a B, it's because you didn't care. It's not because you didn't have the opportunity. Not because you didn't have somebody that was willing to work with you. Because you chose not to. You're going to take that L, and then you're going to learn from it now. So that was a big thing in my classroom.
Okay. And then also just touching back on the lesson that you were trying to teach your students, how do you think that applies to entrepreneurship now?
I think it's everything. That's a great question. It's about grit and creativity. So you're going to fail. That's part of the game. You're going to have hard times. That's part of the game. Can you find a way to keep playing the game? So I think Simon Sinek, this speaker, and he's a leadership coach, he talks about something called infinite games, where there's some games that have rules. It's a winner and a loser. It's about who has the most points at the end of the clock. Where entrepreneurship is a game of staying in the game. How do you stay in business? How do I build partnerships where in the hard times I still have people that I want to work with, that I can work with? How do I have these different streams of revenue when this is drying up? I can work on this. So I think that idea is so powerful of when you're in that classroom and how you're doing things right now isn't working. Where for some students, no matter how I did the PowerPoint slide or any of that, it wouldn't work. And then I would turn the content into songs where I'd be up there like, what's an example of a song? Photosynthesis. Mm-hmm. So just know this isn't the first song, but I started off getting absolutely cooked and roasted by my students because they're like, oh, that's garbage. And I'm like, oh. And they were funny too, so they making fun of me. But eventually I came to one song that was catchy enough where I'm the plant with the cells. I'm the plant with the chloroplast, organelles. I'm the plant, use the sun's heat, chlorophyll keep, till you're green like algae. I'm the plant. Tomato open up under leaves, give me 6 carbons. I'm the plant on the block, products go out. I'm trying to stash the rays. You're a human, you don't know though. You're a human, you're the one that's breathing out too, bro. I'm green, so they hate me. Blame chlorophyll, I'm sorry. So that's the one where I first started to cook.
That was just good,
right?
That was really good.
And the beautiful part is, I had one student, John was one of my favorite students, but he was struggling. And he was kind of the student that had given up on school as far as being an academic. He's like, I'm just here for the vibes. He pulls up, he played baseball, just laugh in class, huge smile. And I'm like, nah, John, we're going to succeed today. We're going to stay after school. We're going to study. We're going to lock in. You're going to crush that quiz tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, we studied. He failed. And I'm like, we spent like 2-3 hours studying and he still failed. And he was like, hey, keep your head up. Maybe you're just a bad teacher. And I'm like, like he didn't even blame himself. He was like, hey man, maybe this not for you. And it bothered me so much. And John was actually the one that inspired me to do it because he would, one of those students that would walk into a classroom if a new album dropped that day. He already knew like 2 songs word for word. It's like the album came out at 8 a.m. or like 6 a.m. this morning. How do you already know? It's 9 a.m. But I knew if I could turn the content into music, he would master it. And John was one of those students that went from failing till he got 100 on the next test. I made another song, 100 on the next test, do another month on the wall, like, talk to me nice. And then on the final exam, this is one of my proudest moments in education, because I didn't tell him to do this. He walked into the final all confident, like, saucy, nonchalant, like, it's whatever. It's not that big of a deal. And I'm stressing, and he's like, he asked, could you play the instrumentals to the songs we made? Because it went from me just making songs to us making them together to them making their own. He says, play the instrumentals. He flips to the back of his final exam. He writes the words down to the lyrics, word for word. And then he uses the lyrics to the song as a study guide. Mid-final, gets 100 on the final. Ended up being student of the year on the wall. I'm like, John, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right. So how I apply that to entrepreneurship is if you're creative enough, you'll find a way. It's not a lack of resources. Sometimes it's Idris Elba said this. When I have a bad day, I have bad moments, I always remind myself, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna meet another person. Tomorrow there'll be another opportunity. And if you can keep your eyes open for the opportunity, the person that you need to work with. Because sometimes it's not I need another thing. Sometimes you're one connection away from the perfect relationship of, that's the person I needed. You're the person they needed, they're the person you needed. So once you find that person, once you find that opportunity, all of a sudden it made sense. But it's about the different perspectives, being able to, okay, music isn't the thing, it's this. If it's not this, it's this. If it's not this. So that's a big idea that I have, that there's always a way. I have to be creative enough to find it. And then there's a way to keep going and stay in the game.
Wow, that was really, your tag things are so amazing, like from the songs and everything. It's really a great way to teach your children. So as you continue to advocate for these underrepresented communities and teach these future generations, where do you see yourself in 10 years from now?
Ideally, my big goal, my vision, is creating self-sustaining and thriving Black communities on a global scale. And that's something where I'm not necessary in. So I look at Atlanta, Los Angeles. These are the places that I desire before I die. Atlanta, Los Angeles, Nigeria, London, and Brazil. And those are the places where I've met people and I have connections. People that I've met that, okay, if I can put the right system in place, you will thrive and you will transform your community. So it's not like I'm the chosen one, but you have people with all these potential. And in the right system, they'll thrive. In the right system, they could transform where, I'll just give you the model, where it's real practical, where let's say you have somebody that's in Brazil in like the favelas, for example, a very hard area to live, lacking resources, and somebody is an inventor. And what they invent something that has to do with plumbing. And it's just really innovative, it's creative, and they do it in a way where initially it'd be like, we need to take this guy and he needs to go to Harvard. He needs to go to Oxford. We need to take him to a place where he can get all these resources. The idea is, how do we keep it in the favelas? Where your patent, your framework, you teach people in your community how you do what you do. And then that place in the favelas becomes a hub for your craft, where the best inventors in the world that are working on electronics or plumbing or whatever the thing was, they're going to you to learn how you go about it. So when I call it a thriving community, it's about figuring out the resources you have there and not looking at the land first, looking at the people. And then the innovation being an opportunity for people to transform. So I'm really big on systems. So I think about, how do you put a system in place where if I can get the resources and say, okay, you have this person here, show discipline with your craft, be innovative, and we can turn your thing into a school where people in your community go to you. You can go to trade school, you can go to university, or you can go to Brandon the favelas. You can go to Tunji in Lagos. You can go to this person in Georgia. You can go to this person in Dallas. So I want it to be almost like a beautiful virus where I'm not necessary at all. People may never even know my name, but the system is in place and it's working. So that's what I'm chasing.
So, with that being said, what is a lesson that you have learned or lessons that could be applied to almost every job or everything that you do?
A lesson that I've learned that could be applied to every job or everything that you do. I would think it'd be the quote by Benjamin E. Mays, the quote that I share in every speech that I've shared multiple times that I've spoken here. Benjamin E. Mays, the president of Morehouse and a mentor to Martin Luther King Jr., he said, "We're all created to do something unique and something distinctive. And if we do not do it, it will never be done." So there's that understanding that you have something to offer as an individual that we can't get anywhere else. And everybody else around you has something to offer that we can't get anywhere else. So I always look at it as I'm on the other end of somebody's prayer. Somebody's praying for something that I'm meant to provide, that I'm meant to pull up with, that I'm meant to invent. And when you walk with that responsibility, you look at yourself different. Firstly, it's a scary thing to think about, to really realize that somebody is praying for something that you were meant to provide. And it'd be so easy to never become what you're meant to become. It'd be so easy to never conquer the fears, never take the risks, never do. And I feel like our community, the world looks like it is because we have so much wasted potential. The greatest wasted resource is human beings that don't become who they're supposed to. So I think that's the greatest piece that guides me in everything I do. You asked me earlier, where does the energy come from? Part of it is that quote, that I don't get today back. I don't get this opportunity with you back. So I think about that over and over again in my head. Operate like it's your last day. Operate like this is the most important moment of my life, not because I'm the special one, but because you're the special ones. And that domino effect of if I come correctly today, you'll do what you're supposed to do in life. And my whole purpose was to get to this moment and tell you that you're the truth. So be the truth. And I think that idea is what fuels me and would bless everybody if they operated with it.
Okay. Well, I think that we all know that you're very big on quotes, as you've been stating quotes with a lot of the questions. So is there any quote that you heard that really just shifted your mindset within everything and caused you to take a leap that you were waiting to take?
There's so many options. I'm gonna go with Ali. Muhammad Ali once said, "Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men. Small men who are afraid to explore the power they've been given. And they'd rather just live in the life they've been given." Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing. And just that quote where it's like, impossible is a big word thrown around by small men, not in stature, but in heart. That it's easier to live in the world you've been given and just complain about the problems than to explore the power you have to do something. And I love the fact that he said, explore. Because you don't know. Mm-hmm. You don't know if you have the power to do anything. You don't know if what you're gonna do is gonna change it. But to not even have the courage to explore, to not even have the courage to find out. So that's a quote I say to myself. Even Les Brown, another great speaker, he said, when you don't have the courage or the resources, or life looks so bleak where you can't say this is going to happen. He said, when you can't say this is going to happen, you can say it's possible. It's still possible. It's possible. And that just opens up your mind to there's a way. So that quote, that word, explore the power you have to do something, and that it's possible. Like, I put those hand in hand that help keep me going when it looks like you may just want to quit. Like, it's not looking good. Like, just go the safe route. I say it's possible. Or explore the power, explore another avenue. Like, let's find a way to make this work.
That was great. And that actually ties in one of the questions I wanted to ask, because you already asked you what you want to do in 10 years. So we want to ask, what goals do you have for yourself before the year ends? Like, what do you want to do now?
Right now, I'm working on a speaking course for people to overcome nerves and just be more dynamic. And I feel like a lot of problems we have because people can't hear each other, right? Not only can I not express what I'm trying to, I can't get you to understand, but I also can't understand the person on the other aisle. The other person is a monster instead of a human being. And so I think I've learned this a lot because just being amongst high schoolers and students a lot of people, nobody's listening to them at all. They just don't feel heard. So instead of looking at it as I need to listen to everybody, how do I help people be better communicators? Like, how do you get your point across? How do you get somebody to hear you, and how do you hear somebody else? So getting this speaking course together where I can help people be dynamic speakers, and I also selfishly, I want to master the art of speaking, right? One thing, I want to be mesmerizing and entrancing where it's almost, you get lost in it, right? So that's something that selfishly, I want to master this craft. So as I can share what I've learned already, I think Zig Ziglar said it best. If you can help enough people in this life get what they want, you can get everything you want in this life. So once you can teach something to somebody, you've mastered it. Like if I can help people that I could never, and then they just cooking on a stage real buttery, I'm like, that process is gonna grow me. So for all those reasons, right now I'm chasing the art of speaking and creating a community of speakers and helping people become better speakers is one of my focuses for the rest of this year.
That's a great goal you have there by the end of the year. So going back to your past, it said that you have a degree in dietetics.
Yes, sir.
Was there any moments in high school that led you to choose that path?
Absolutely not. And I laugh because I was not a nutrition person at all whatsoever. I make the joke that I'm the meatloaf kid because in high school there'd be the joke like, I don't eat school food, it's jail food, especially on meatloaf day. Everybody's like high and mighty. I'd be like, you have free lunch? Get in line, get your meatloaf, give it to me. And then I'd be at lunch eating 4 meatloafs like, life's good, right? So nutrition and healthy eating was the farthest thing from my mind. But when I went to college, I was a biology major and I wanted to be a dentist at the time. And it turns out that dentists can diagnose like pre-diabetes through the teeth. And then I had a friend that was a dietetics major and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And biology, if you graduate the degree, you can't do too much with it. And I looked at dietetics and I was like, and then I went about my business. But then I heard if you take a dietetics degree, you didn't have to take organic chemistry too. And I don't know if you know anything about organic chemistry, but that class is humbling. So as soon as I heard about I was like, say less. I'm a dietetics major. So it wasn't necessarily all altruistic and let's get the community to be healthier. It happened after the fact. Once I started getting into dietetics and seeing the difference it made in my life when I started eating better. Where majority of my life I was breathing through one nostril, real congested. But now I'm a plant-based vegan and I cut out dairy and my breathing is better. Like my skin is better, my energy is better, I live better. So for me, it's not so much about the vegan label, because for anybody that doesn't know, vegan is like no animal products at all whatsoever. So that's from honey so I'm not one of those OG vegans that are like, this for the animals. No, I still think animals are delicious, if I'm gonna be real with you. And if it came down to the apocalypse, like it's still up for the animals. But in the meantime, I find that I'm thriving without. I still find meals that I enjoy because food is something that I love. And it's real cultural for me as well, where I remember my mom could cook certain meals for me and that's her saying I love you without saying it, just because she made this, because she knew it was my favorite. So that type of my culture, just saying like food is not that big of a deal is disrespectful, it's crazy. So for me, it's how do I go on this journey and be the healthiest version of myself and help other people do the same and enjoy what they eat. So all that to answer, high school, there are not too many experiences in high school where I'm like, this ended up defining who I was. But it speaks to so much growth because I'm not that same person. And I get to look back and be proud because I look at who I was in high school and I'm like, I used to make fun of people for eating salads. Like somebody would eat a salad and I'm like, why do you want to be sad? Is everything okay at home? Like that's the joke I would tell. Like, why would you do that to yourself? So to be here now and be plant-based and be loving it, it's just a testament to you're allowed to grow. And it's a beautiful thing when you do.
So after receiving your bachelor's degree in dietetics, you pursued a master's degree in education. Can you tell us what inspired you to go down that path as well?
Absolutely. Well, I had one of those defining moments where I found out about junior year of college. I was speaking and I wanted to be a speaker now. But from 4th grade to junior year, I wanted to be a dentist. And it's like, how do you shift gears? And I couldn't go home to my Nigerian parents and be like, I want to be a speaker now. They're like, you've been speaking all your life. Like, they're just like, it's not practical. So I needed to make it practical, and I had an option. Either I would get my master's in dietetics, and which was required in order to be a registered dietitian in the state of Georgia in the United States, or I had an opportunity to do something called Teach for America, where Teach for America it's all over the nation, and basically they take recently graduated college students and give you an opportunity to become a teacher. They teach you, they train you, and they send you to an underrepresented, underserved area in the United States to teach for 2 years. And my idea was, okay, this was an opportunity to develop myself as a speaker while also giving back. If I could do this for somebody in an underserved area, I always looked at young black men like myself growing up, middle school, elementary school, high school, and it's like, I didn't feel fair the opportunities I was getting and how I was living life when I'm like, he's just as smart as me. Gift of gab, he has that too. Charming, he's more charming. All these things, and it didn't feel fair that just because the family I came from, it felt like the culture that was within my family overrode the culture of anything that was in society. That was my story. So I was like, how do I go into places and do that same for somebody else? And that was what I was deciding. Do I stay in Georgia and get this master's degree where I feel safe, or do I go teach and become a speaker and try and become a speaker and prove to myself? And I didn't know which to choose. I knew I wanted this, but this felt like a risky dream. And if I'm completely honest, what I did was I really made low-key a gamble with God. I always felt like for some reason I needed to go to Los Angeles, California to live. Like that's what I was supposed to do. And I told God, okay, so Teach for America can send you anywhere. Los Angeles is one of the most competitive places because it's Los Angeles. Some people are getting sent to some places where it's like, oh, no, thank you, I'm gonna stay at home, right? Where it's so difficult but Los Angeles is LA. So I said, okay, God, if I get Los Angeles, I'll do Teach for America. If not, I'm gonna stay and get my master's. So if I get any other place in Teach for America, I'm not going to go. And I'll take that as a sign from you. Either you open this door or you close it through there. And that was risky because this is extremely competitive. I don't know if you've ever done an interview with other students, but they just happen to be the truth. And they're like, yeah, I designed a bridge at 14 and they built it in New York. And you're like, what? And you can do that? And like, oh yeah, I started a nonprofit and we fed 50,000 kids since, January. And I'm like, I'm in a fraternity. I was an ambassador at the school. I wrote a song once. You want to hear like this? I'm looking at these people and I'm like, I don't see it. So that's why it was such a big deal. Like if I got this top spot, it's almost like it's where I'm supposed to be. This is the journey I'm supposed to go on. And lo and behold, I got Los Angeles. Ever since then, I'm the most blessed man alive. Like God loves me most, and deal with it, right? So like that mentality was born out of that. And really that was the start to my journey, where I ended up getting my master's in education because that was part of the opportunity that came with going to become a teacher in Los Angeles. They had a master's option in your second year of becoming credentialed as a teacher, and I just took the option. Because again, in my family, you can get a cheap master's, you can get a degree, and it's set into what you're doing already, just get the degree. Why not get the sheet of paper? Why not get the extra education, do the extra work to get the extra benefit was the thinking.
Okay. Well, I know you were talking about how competitive it was when trying to get into certain programs, and other people sometimes have let's say, a lot shinier qualities than you do. So how do you set yourself apart and make yourself seem like the better candidate when going up against those types of individuals?
One thing that helps me on a theoretical, like spiritual type mentality, Maya Angelou said something that was extremely powerful. She said, whenever you go into an interview, bring everyone that's ever loved you. So like bring grandma, come on, bring grandpa, dad, mom, sisters, like anybody that's ever poured into you. You focus on that, you bring that energy in, and she said they'll say that you have charisma. But I also use that strategically where I come into an interview and they're like, how you doing? I'm like, my grandma told me she loved me this morning, so you really can't tell me anything. I feel exceptional. And what that does is, number one, it gives you a confidence. It gives you that charisma. But number two, everybody has a grandma. So it also gives you a connection point. Where if I'm in the elevator with a CEO and I'm in the elevator with somebody that's a custodian, I could say that same line and it'd be a connection point. Either they're thinking about the grandma they had or they never had a grandma, but we have something we can connect on. So I really like that strategy if I can think about somebody I love me that's in my family and I talk about that, that can ground the conversation in something that we have in common easily and smoothly. So that's the first thing I do from a strategic and a more theoretical type level. The second thing I do from a practical standpoint is I focus on, let me be the best version of me. So let me get my sleep, let me eat right, let me prepare for the interview. And number one, don't pretend to be anybody else. Don't pretend to be something I'm not. If I do and I don't get it, I'm gonna be mad at myself. Because then I'm like, if I was me, what if they actually wanted me and not who I was pretending to be? Right, so that's something that I challenge myself to, because at least I can sleep at night. If I just bring forth the best version of myself. And in certain moments where I even had an interview recently, and it required my biology understanding. It's like biology foundations, and the AI robot is interviewing me. This robot is cooking me with questions like, tell me about the substrate and the enzyme. And this, what was it? I can't even remember. And I did not remember I'm like, you know what? I don't know. But if you gave me time to research and study, I can find out. Right, and that was a powerful thing to be able to say. Because sometimes you feel like, okay, let my finessing gear kick in. Like, what can I say to get out of this situation or pretend I know? And it's just a powerful thing when you have confidence in your ability to learn, your ability to grow, your ability to figure things out. You'll find so many times in interviews and opportunities, it's not the person that has it all together that thrives. It's the person that's willing to figure it out. Is the person that's going to be tenacious, that's going to be creative, that's going to ask questions. A lot of people that I've seen in so many different opportunities that I stepped in from college to Teach for America, people that were outperforming me, quote unquote, with what they've done already. But they get into a situation where your intelligence won't help you alone, that you're gonna have to lean on other people, that you're going to have to ask for help. That's a separator. When you've been told you're so smart for so long, you're so special, oh, you're the chosen one, you can do anything, and then you start failing. And it's one thing to fail for one day. I don't know if teaching kids is so humbling because you can give your best, plan a lesson 3 months straight, and the kid's like, I'm bored. Within 30 seconds, you like, stop playing, Demontre. Like I gave up my weekend making this lesson. And so when you confront that and everything that somebody's dealing with and nothing you're doing is working, some people go into a shell and they blame themselves. And they go into survival mode where it's like, let me just make it through the year. Let me just make it through. Let me just make it through. Let me just make it through. And it becomes survival. Where I was like, no, not only is that not good enough for my students, it's not good enough for me. No, we're not doing this. So I got desperate. I'm like, help me. I was hitting up teachers that have been teaching for 20, 30 years. I'm like, can I take you out to coffee? Can we sit down and have lunch? And they were laughing, and all of a sudden I'm like, no, help me. Like, I'm struggling. Like, can I have some PowerPoints? Can I have some Dropboxes? Can I watch your classroom? Can help me? So I think that's been the most powerful thing, is that humility. That ability to say, if I get enough help, I can figure it out. That creativity, looking at this differently, and sometimes it's getting a mentor, getting somebody that has figured it out. One of my favorite lines is from a children's book, and it's also like a short story that said the boy, the fox, the horse, and the mole, something like that, where it's like asking for help is not quitting. It's refusing to quit. Asking for help is not quitting, it's refusing to quit. And that's a bar. And like simply I apply that. And I think that's something that is another gem that people should take with them as well. Especially as high schoolers, especially as you go on to college, every phase of the game is having the humility to say, I need help. And finding the person that can help you.
I see that, especially in school and when moving on to college and trying to set that foundation throughout your 4 years. It's really important to not quit. But it did sound like that was like a bit of an obstacle that you came over with having your students engage in your classroom. I was gonna ask if there were any other obstacles you faced when you were trying to get those speaking programs out, or anything you faced throughout your career that you feel like you need to share with us.
I think one thing that I've realized is the patience to be ready for your moment. The patience to be ready, because you will feel like you're ready long before your time came. I said this yesterday. I knew I wanted to be a speaker at 21. I didn't get paid to speak until 32, right? And the whole journey was knowing and growing and figuring this thing out. And I had to be patient. It's not like I wasn't working but I wasn't working in the field. It wasn't full time. It's not what I was doing now. And so much time, even when I got the opportunity, for now I'm speaking for Foundation for Economic Education, where I started off writing curriculum for them, like writing different lessons and speeches and workshops that somebody else would deliver on a big stage. And I got an opportunity where their main speaker, he cold. He's nice. So it's not like this guy's a bum. No, he is who we thought he was, right? He was tough at what he does. He was great at what he did, but he needed to be in two places at once. He needed to be in Michigan and Los Angeles. And he couldn't be in two places at once. And the people in Michigan was like, but who could we send? And I'm sitting in my house at my computer like, pick me, choose me. And I got an opportunity to speak for my first time 60 minutes at a time. So I'd given 5-minute speeches, I've given 10 minutes, I've taught in a classroom, but it's different where you're standing on a stage with a mic for 60 minutes and people are just staring at you. And you're expected to deliver. And this was my first time. And I was having to advocate for myself, saying, I can do this, with that voice in the back of your head saying, can you do this? Because it's not, you haven't yet. You believe you can, but you haven't yet. You've done all this prep, but you haven't yet. And when I say being ready for your moment, I started pulling from everything that I've done with teaching, everything, because it was a leadership conference, and I was speaking about leadership. So I got to really make my own speech. And that was one of those moments where we had a small group session. They're like, okay, the main guy isn't here, but you could take Tunji. And nobody knew Tunji at the time. Like, it's not like I'm a household name, but it's like they were taking a leap of faith on me. So I did the conference. I bodied it. I was ready for my moment. And that one speech turned into a tour the next year where they're like, we want you to come to 5, 6, 7 schools in our district. So when I say be ready for your moment, so many people, when the light does shine on them, they've stopped looking for it. They've stopped waiting on it. They've stopped preparing for it. The singing, they stopped 5 years ago. The dancing, they stopped 2 years ago. The podcasting, the news reporting, they stopped 6 months ago. And then the opportunity comes and it's like, I'm not ready. Versus the opportunity comes and you're like, let's cook. So all that to say is be patient. When the opportunity comes, still be getting prepared and cook.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to ask, how has your definition of success changed as you moved through your different careers and had your different experiences?
That's a great question. And my definition of success is really definitely tied to community. As a man, there's definitely the financial piece of I want my mom to be okay. I want my sisters to be okay. And to me, it's you're him if you can take care of your family doing what you love. I still think you're a bad man if you can just take care of your family doing what you hate. There's there's a respect that goes with that too. But I feel like you the baddest of men if you can say, I love doing this, and you get paid to do it, and you get to take care of your family as well. And then it's a benefit to your community. So it's that much harder to take a risk on yourself. I'll close out with this story by Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey said something that was so profound to me. He said his father was a great musician. And his father was a jazz musician. They wanted him to travel throughout Canada and even the US and tour. But he had a family. He had a son, he had kids. So he chose the safe route of being an accountant. And then it worked out well, and then all of a sudden, that safe route wasn't so safe anymore when he got fired from his job. And Jim Carrey and his family ended up being homeless. And he said one of the most important lessons he learned from his dad is you can fail at what you don't want to do. So you might as well take a risk on what you do. So one of my definitions of success is, can I take a risk on myself and be disciplined and creative enough to live through what I want to do and still get to support my family and still get to support my community and still get to bless others? Well, I get to get up every day and say, I get to do this. So that's my definition of success. I get to do this. Time and money, I'm not in a chokehold by it. And then what I do blesses others. That's the trifecta. That's that pocket I'm trying to live in. That's success to me.
Well, I think you got everything. You hit everything on the head. We just want to thank you for saying yes to the opportunity so that we can hear you, so that everybody can hear you and tell us all your quotes and what they mean, and just learning about what it means to be a speaker and like to be able to listen and be able to communicate, like you said.
Thank you.
So we just want to say thank you, Mr. Adebayo, for sharing your journey from where you started in education in Atlanta all the way to founding Rhyme LLC. And just thank you so much for being here. And
You're very welcome.
We want you to know that we recognize your dedication to empower the communities through wellness and education. And honestly, I'm pretty sure I can speak for all of us that that's really inspiring. So this is for our listeners. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and feel motivated by the insight and wisdom shared. Be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel so you never miss the next conversation. Until next time, this has been KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview. Stay awesome.
Thank you for listening to KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
My radio station.
We hope you enjoyed the great content and great discussion, all from a student's perspective. Make sure to follow us on Twitter for the latest updates at KSBM_TVT or on Facebook at KSBM Radio.
Add 'em on Facebook.
Check them on Facebook.
Take care.